Good morning. Today is Monday, November 9th, 2020, and is a Green Cohort Day. The food drive has been extended to Wednesday. Please bring in your non-perishable food items to your advisory tomorrow or Wednesday. A reminder, the advisory that brings in the most items wins a week of Chef B's goodies. Planning on joining the Nordic ski team? We need to get our trails ready for winter. We'll be having a trail work day this Saturday, November 14th. A bus will be leaving Brantview Drive at 1 p.m. to head up to the trails. Come a few minutes early to get health checked at the field house. Anyone planning on being part of the team this winter should come to this trail day. Email Ms. Slimovich at rachel.slimovich@stjlabs.com by Thursday morning if you will be there. Bring your clippers. Congratulations to the following girls soccer players for their postseason Metro Conference awards. Ruby Yerkes, honorable mention. Ellie Rice, honorable mention. Sophie Shippey, honorable mention. And Lily Gary Wright, honorable mention. Happy birthday today to Cameron Clark. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Sam. Some nice catches the other day. A few late announcements. 2, boys varsity soccer lost to Burlington in the D1 state semifinals 2-0. A big thank you to our seniors for a great season. And varsity football beat Spalding 42-28 to win the regional championship. Congratulations to the entire team on a great season. And I have to say that it was, I was not sad to see the team beat a team called the Crimson Tide. Good morning and happy Monday. So on Saturday morning, right before the football game, news networks called the 2020 presidential election for Joe Biden. I headed down to the field in time for Rory Higgs to sing the national anthem, and I watched the flag fly over Fairbanks Field. And while Rory sang, I had lots of thoughts and lots of emotions, mostly about how much I hope that we're able, for all of your sakes, to find a better register for our public life, to find our common ground on some high ground. As someone who has a deep and abiding interest in helping young people find their way to be positive forces in the world, I will feel some relief if there's a little less negativity, less heated and angry rhetoric, less petulance, and more patience and forgiveness in the words and acts of those who are constantly in our view. This is a sobering moment in many ways. We're only just coming to terms with the depth and breadth of the differences in worldviews and ultimately experience in different realities. For your sakes, as you know, I hope that we can close the gaps, and I hope everybody just stops yelling. You can't have a reasoned conversation at such high volume. But being who I am, I would be remiss and I would forever mourn the opportunity to mention the fact that our vice president-elect right now is a woman, and a woman of color, and that a woman has never held such high office in our country. I think we can all take just a moment and recognize how truly momentous that is, and also how screwed up that is. It's 2020. It's 100 years after women earned the right to vote, and 35 years after we had our first woman vice presidential nominee, Geraldine Ferraro, in 1984. 20 years earlier, in 1964, Margaret Chase Smith, who was the first woman elected, and not appointed, but elected to the Senate, the United States Senate, and a Republican from Maine, was also the first woman to be put forward by her party as a vice presidential candidate. I'm sorry, as a presidential candidate. She did take her name off the ballot. But I want to tell a quick story about Margaret Chase Smith. In 1950, she earned a little fame for reading on the floor of the Senate something called a Declaration of Conscience, and it was admonishing Senator Joe McCarthy for his fear-mongering about communist plots. What became known as the Red Scare, where many people's loyalties to America were questioned based on their status as immigrants, non-Protestants, artists, intellectuals, and various outsiders. who expressed any doubt at all about the perfection of America in their work. Margaret Chase Smith's speech was brave, and it was absolutely right. She was a tiny, tiny woman, but she made a lot of noise. So the climate of fear was eventually rejected by most others, and Joe McCarthy was shown to be a dangerous and unscrupulous bully. Margaret Chase Smith broke ground for women, as did Ferraro and Shirley Chisholm and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and many others, all in their own ways. I think it's fair to mention how much this meant and how much it continues to mean for girls and women everywhere, but especially here in the United States. It is indeed long overdue. So think about tiny Margaret Chase Smith standing up to fear and hate today, and enjoy the warm weather. Now I'd like to introduce Hazel, Isadora, and Katie, who are here representing the NHS Community Committee. Come on up, girls.
All right, so we are here on behalf of National Honor Society to announce the completion of a Green Revolving Fund project. In the third week of October, a big project had been in progress at the St. Johnsbury Academy. Specifically, the pipes in the boiler rooms of Colby, Streeter, and the Fieldhouse are being insulated in order to reduce our carbon footprint. Many of you may not be aware of the large amount of fuel our school has to burn in order to keep all the buildings heated. The school has been hard at work to make this process as efficient and waste-free as possible, which this project was a major accomplishment towards. With the installation of the pipes in these rooms, our school is projected to burn 3,696 gallons per year less than we currently are, which could cut our carbon emissions by 1% to 2% overall. Although this may sound small, it is actually around 60 metric tons of carbon emissions per year we would no longer be contributing to the climate crisis. This project was inspired by a capstone presented by Lily Garrett in 2013. The idea was to create a green revolving fund that would start with just $4,000 to be used to assist in a sustainability project around the school. The projects would then save the school money that could be spent on more improvements to help our school be greener.
These evergreen insulation kits are made in the USA, last at least 10 years, and are easy to maintain and a cost-effective combative solution to helping reduce our carbon footprint here at the Academy. What this project consists of is wrapping and insulating heating pipes in the buildings mentioned previously. This added insulation helps prevent heat loss, in turn helping the school save energy and money and limit our carbon emission by helping these pipes become more efficient and limiting the amount of fuel that is consumed. Since installation of these kits on pipes and valves in buildings across campus, they will save our school thousands of dollars and help reduce carbon emissions. Our school uses anywhere around 200,000 to 300,000 gallons of fuel per year, and this simple action of insulation helps us reduce this usage by what does not seem like a lot of energy, but is actually around enough to power a Brant vehicle a year.
I would like to start by recognizing Mr. Albert's electricity students who put in hard work to make this project possible. The students who worked on this project are Waylon Gates, Amana Crucci, Ezekiel Woodward, and Tyler Harvey. The project would not have been possible without the funding of many local organizations. In total, the school was funded $42,647. Efficiency Vermont awarded us an incentive of $5,866. And the engineers and salespeople there tell us that the project will save the school $13,167 a year with an ROI of 35%. Those savings come from the reduction of 3,696 gallons of heating fuel per year. The estimated payback time of this project is 2.8 years, while the lifetime of the efficiency improvements are estimated to last 15. Overall, making this project beneficial to both the environment and the school's heating. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's very impressive and very cool. So now I'd like to invite, in our social studies speaker series, I'd like to invite Chair of the Social Studies Department, Mr. Eckhart, to speak about the election.
Good morning. How is everyone today? My 3 advisees are in the back of chapel. It's really nice. First, Dr. Howell, thank you so much for your kind words and the historical perspective. I think that one of the things we learn through history is empathy, and that's part of what I'm trying to talk about today. Franklin Delano Roosevelt once said, when asked to give advice about giving speeches, be brief, be sincere, and be seated. And I plan to do that, just that very thing today. If you know me well, I'm from a small town called Landgrove, Vermont, which is down south, Bennington County. No, there are no orange trees there. There are no coconut trees. We don't speak with a southern accent. I know the people in the kingdom think that down south is so far away. But my town is called Landgrove, where I'm from. 5 generations of my family have lived there. So it's home for me in a lot of ways. There are no stores, no paved roads, no post offices. Pretty incredible place. If you listen to NPR over the weekend, it also had the highest voter turnout in the state of Vermont over the weekend, with 94% turnout. Numbers can be a little misleading. There's only 135 registered voters in Landgrove, so it's maybe not quite that impressive of a statistic. But why I love Landgrove is it has this tremendous sense of community. There are traditions going on. The Hill versus the Valley softball game has gone on since the Second World War. On Halloween, children dress up and trick or treat, but so do all the adults because you have to drive everywhere. Christmas, we all get together in the little meeting house, which has no heat, no electricity, and sing carols and bring in non-perishable food items for the community food shelf. Just some wonderful traditions. But I want to get back to the voting piece. People express themselves by voting because they care, because they believe that their voices are heard. And I believe that as well. And if you look at the election results, the presidential election results, which are historic and unprecedented in many, many ways, we had 75,404,182 people voting for Joe Biden, which is, as I said, historic, largest turnout, largest collection of votes for a single candidate in our history. However, we can't discount the fact that 70,903,094 people also voted to re-elect President Trump. I think you should feel free to celebrate. You should also feel free to protest. Both are very American in their beliefs and their values. But it's not the time for gloating. It's not the time to do harm right now. I love this. I love the Constitution. You know that. The Constitution, though, and the American political system is designed to be slow. You heard Dr. Howell talk about change for women and the years it's taken for women to get the right to vote and to be elected to positions of power in this country. Slow process. And that's okay. We can be patient with the process. It's by its design. I welcome challenges to the election results because we all want fair and free elections in this country. I also recognize that it's going to take time before everything is known. Let's face it, the electors to the Electoral College won't meet until December, 5 weeks away. But right now, we need to get together. We need to work together. Going back to history, many of you weren't born in 2000, but the adults remember the election of 2000, which pit President Bush versus Al Gore. The election came down to the state of Florida and who was going to win it. And it was decided by a mere 537 votes that the state of Florida and the electoral votes would go to Bush. And the Supreme Court actually reached this decision on December 12th. So this idea that we need to wait for election results to come out or be out the next day isn't really accurate, right? It takes time. The process takes time. So be patient with the process. But I also think for us here, I began my talk by talking about community. I wore my tie today because of our community, because I know that we are green and white, and together we're a fantastic community. And together we need to have the conversations about our future, about what's at stake for us, about what we value, about what we care for. But as Dr. Howell rightly said, we cannot simply shout at each other. We need to speak with each other and be civil, right? We are green and white. We are St. Johnsbury Academy together. We are a community with traditions, with values, with people, with different beliefs, but we need to come together and talk. Just so you know, in our own community, in the town of St. Johnsbury, 2,034 votes were cast for Joe Biden, and 1,218 votes were cast for Donald Trump. That's not a lot of difference. We have lots of people with different opinions and different values, but we need to be able to talk to each other. It's great to be in chapel. I want to leave with the words of Abraham Lincoln. And he said in his second inaugural, and admittedly it's much different context, right? He's talking about the Civil War and his second inauguration, in which he's not going to venture what's going to happen in the war. But I think his words hold true for us today. And I ask you, if you enter a history class, ask your history teacher to talk with you about the second inaugural today. Or an English teacher as well, because the rhetorical devices in that piece are fantastic. Anyway, Lincoln closes by saying, with malice towards none, and with charity for all, with firmness in the right, let us strive on to finish the work that we are to bind up our nation's wounds. Let us move forward together. Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eckhart. Have a great day, everyone.